Hello guys, welcome to another video. So let's start with some code. So in this TypeScript code app, let's create some variables. Alright, so I'm creating one variable here in my TypeScript code that is called variable.ts, and this is the only file I do have in my project right now. If I save this and if I hover here, you see it is giving me an indication that this age is type of a number. You see, I'm not defining anything right now in my TypeScript code. But when I create a variable, it automatically assigning me some type by default. And maybe if I try to change this with some string issue, like it shouldn't be age is supposed to be a number, and I'm trying to assign it to a string. Then if I hover this, you see type string is not assignable to type number. Now here comes one important topic in TypeScript that is called inference. So whenever you create a variable in TypeScript, alright, so TypeScript is all about types, giving a JavaScript code some types so that they don't mess up later in the code base, or someone new joins your team or someone new comes to your project, helps you, and they didn't know what type of object or what type of data you created, and they just mess things up. So there are some simple types TypeScript providers, and these are the three simple types we do have: string, number, and boolean. So whenever you create some variable, if you're assigning a number, whether it's a decimal or whether it's a integer, it's going to be a number. If you assign single quote string, double quote string, it's going to be string. And if you assign like true or false, it's going to be boolean for you. And like we just see recently, if you create a variable in TypeScript, by default, implicitly it's going to get some type, and this process is called inference. Let's jump back to the code base again. Okay, let's try a few more things. What if I try to create a variable with const age is equal to 79? So as we know, when you use const, you cannot reassign the value to this variable. It is a constant. Okay, but if I try to assign a value to it, age may be issue. Well, to be honest, by default, you cannot do it in JavaScript because it's a constant variable. You cannot reassign or change the value of it, right? So right now, it is giving me this error. And if I change this to let, again, it's going to give me the number, and you cannot change the number. Now, what if you create a variable without specifying any value? So in that case, if you hover this, variable age implicitly has an any type, but a better type may be inferred from usage. Means if you give it some value, it's going to infer and automatically assign a type to it. But if you're not inferring it, and if you're not setting any value, then implicitly it is assigning you one type that is called any. So there are two special types in TypeScript: any and unknown. Any means it could be anything. Now, and unknown means it is unknown. Right now we don't know it, but exactly this is. There is a difference between these two. We are going to talk about this later in this our course. But let's go to the code and see. We have let age, and right now it is any. If I assign it a string, it's not going to complain. See, it is happy because it is any. And if I change it to age 88, maybe, it is not complaining, it is any. Now, here comes another part. What if I want to tell this variable that you should only accept number? Because age should be a number, right? What we can do is, we can do this colon, syntax, colon, and I can specifically define the type I want to use with this variable. It could be a string, it could be a number, it could be a boolean. If I do it number here, then you see the age, it is complaining, hey, you are using string, but it should be a number because you define number here. And when I'm assigning the 88, it is very much happy. It is not complaining. So this type of assignment is called explicit assignment. You are specifically mentioning that, hey, this variable should store only this value, a number type. Or if I do string, it's gonna complain again. Like you're using you're showing a number there. It should be string, right? This is called explicit assignment. Implicit, if I do 88 here, maybe 16 here, that I'm implicitly defining that this age should be a number, and again it's gonna complain here, but not gonna complain. Okay, let's see some other examples. What if I do something like this? JSON.parse, and maybe if I pass some string issue. Now if I save this and check my age, it is still assigning it as any. But like we see, if you assign a variable, it implicitly give it a type. But in the case of JSON.parse, when JSON parse you, it could be anything, right? It could be a string, it could be an object, it could be a number. So that's why this Typescript not able to decide what type of JSON.parse value is going to return. That's why it is giving you any. So when Typescript knows what type of value you're assigning to the right side, it's going to assign that type to the variable. Otherwise it won't. It's gonna still keep it as any. Okay, let's see some other example as well. Okay, let's try with some dates maybe. Okay, let me create a variable date. So now this variable is of date type. Date is not a simple type in Typescript. We are going to discuss about date later in the other course. But yes, if you create a date, it's going to be a date type. Now, if I try to change it to string, maybe this 01/02/2024, it's going to complain. Well, actually, this string is a date for me, but it is accepting as a date. The string is not a date, but the actual content is date for me. Now what I can do is, I can cast this data into a different type so that it can store in this variable. How? Now, I have to use one special keyword provided by Typescript called as. After that, you can specify what type of, in what type you want to cast this value. I want to cast it to any. It could be anything for me. This value could be anything for me. Any is superset, any can store any type of value. So now it is not complaining. This date, it's still a date for me, but right now it is storing string. But if I do this, it's going to complain. It is saying like conversion of type string to type date may be mistake. Because right now I know this content is date, but Typescript doesn't know this content is date. If I specifically want to convert it as date, I can do this as any as date. I can follow as much as I want. But this thing doesn't make sense because ultimately this is a string. It's just for the educational purpose. You shouldn't be doing this in your real example, in your real life coding. But if you convert it to any, it's gonna be any. You can also try this. Maybe let's create a variable, not with cons. Let message is equal to hello there. As we know, it's gonna be string. What if I do something like this? As any as number. If I do it, it's gonna act as a number. And if I try to call some methods on it, so it is giving me methods of number, right? ToFix is not present in the string. It is a number method. If I try to run it, obviously it's gonna give me the error because actually this message is a string, it's not a number. Okay, let's understand these things with the function. Let's create one function, find prime number. maybe. Okay. So it's going to accept one number, and this function is going to find whether the number is prime or not. Okay, let's do it. N. I'm going to name my parameter as name. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create one variable. It's going to be is prime. And it's going to run I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. And if we can divide n with any of the I value, then it's not a prime number, right? Is equal to 0. Then it's not a prime number. We can do is prime false. Otherwise, on return, it's prime. Okay, so there are few flaws in this method for sure, I know, but we can fix those later. Now, if you want to define the type of the parameter, you can do it implicitly and explicitly both. Explicitly, you have to do this. Well, it's going to be a number for me. You need to define this symbol, our Typescript symbol. Or if you want to do it implicitly, maybe you can do this 0. Then it gets to know this n is a number. Okay, let is going to be a Boolean value for me, but right now it is any. I can explicitly define it as Boolean, or maybe I can do true, because ultimately if this doesn't work, that it means it's a prime number, right? And it's going to return true. And to define the return type of the function, what you can do, you can, after the function definition, you can define explicitly like this. It's going to return Boolean. This is a return type of your function. Now if you're going to call this function, okay, let's do 5. But before that, we need to convert it to JavaScript. Let's run our command, and it's going to convert this code into JavaScript. And we can run this JavaScript like not this slash variable. I guess it's going to find. Oh, we are not printing anything. I guess we need to print. Maybe I can do the change it directly. This. Okay, prime is 5 is a prime number, so it is giving us the right result. So that's how we can deal with function. In the case of parameters, you can do implicit or explicit typing. In the return type, you can do implicit. Let's take an example before talking about this. But if I don't provide any of the return type here, now what do you think it's going to return? See, as you define your return value here as a Boolean, so it knows it's going to return a Boolean. So by default, implicitly, it is assigning you the Boolean as a return type. But if you want to define it explicitly, you can do it like this. Will be same. Awesome. That's all for this video, guys. In the next video, we are going to talk about a lot more things. So if you are still come this far in this course, I would request you, please follow all the videos. You're going to learn a lot of amazing things. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and let me know if I'm missing something, or if you want some feedback for me, you're free to comment on this video. Thank you very much.